up with your morning cup of fun with your host, Deborah Duncan. Great Day starts now.
We'd all like peace on earth, but if you're suffering from fatigue, weight gain, depression, and you're irritable, it's hard to let peace begin with you. Our next guest says you don't have to act or feel like Scrooge. In fact, he can help you feel like the ghost of Christmas past, as in your younger days. Welcome Dr. Stephen Hotze from Hotze Health and Wellness Center, along with his patient, Keith Selvig. Hello. All right, so Key, you were feeling like the old Scrooge type thing. I mean,
yes.
Life was normal, and then all of a sudden, around 33, things started going downhill.
33.
Yeah, that's really.
I'll never forget it. I felt dizzy, brain fog, fatigued, and I'm high energy, work out, eat right, do all these things. I'm a flight attendant, so I'm running around like crazy.
You would have panic attacks, which is not a good thing in the air.
Yeah, that came along. Right, I would be sitting on the plane, and it would happen during work. The fatigue was the worst symptom for me. But all of my symptoms, they were very, very easy to write off to other things.
Yeah, but they were enough to alarm you, to get your attention. So you went to a neurologist, a pulmonary specialist, an acupuncturist, which says that you were willing, because there's such different, disciplines. It was like you were willing to try anything. And
always.
By the time you got to Dr. Hotze, it was like whatever you can do. And Dr. Hotze, you hear this a lot. Patients will come to you as a last resort, if they only known to come to you to begin with.
Well, they try the conventional line of therapy until it doesn't work. And so when Key came in, she saw Dr. Ellsworth, I believe, didn't you? And after evaluating her, spending time with her, reviewing her history and symptoms, blood work and all that, he determined that she was functionally hypothyroid, had low thyroid, and she had an imbalance in the female hormones, which is common.
I'm going to stop you right there, though, because what were you told before? Was it hormones at all, or were you told, well, they seem to be imbalanced?
Right, they couldn't find anything. The pulmonary specialist, the cardiologist said, maybe you need to go, talk to someone.
I like to go,
which means what? Psychiatrist?
Maybe a psychiatrist, see what's happening there.
Yeah, and Dr. Hotze, why is it so many times that, because there have been patients that have gone in and thought, well, I've heard that maybe it could be thyroid, or maybe it could be, progesterone, estrogen, whatever, and they're told, well, no, you're within the range, so that can't be it.
Well, as we've discussed so many times before, the range is an arbitrary figure concocted by or determined by the lab, and 95% of the people fall within the range because that's where they define the range. So if you get your blood tested for thyroid, 95% of the time you're always going to fall within the range. It has nothing to do, the blood test tells you nothing about the thyroid within the cell. You can't measure that. How can you find out what's going on within the cell? Get a good clinical history. Find out what the symptoms are.
What we were talking about earlier about listening to your patient.
Listening to your patient.
She had all the symptoms of.
She had the symptoms. She had the fatigue. She had the inability to think clearly. She was cold. She had low body temperature. She had panic attacks. And she's 33 years old, which is common for this to happen in women when they get in their mid-30s. This is when it starts happening. The female hormones become imbalanced. They get estrogen dominance, adversely affects their ability to utilize thyroid hormones, and they become functionally hypothyroid. It doesn't show up on a blood test. But you listen to the patient, they have the clinical symptoms, and what you do is you give them a therapeutic trial of thyroid to see how they do. And if it resolves their problem, you're treating what their underlying problem was. So we treated her with thyroid and some natural hormones, and how did you do?
The energy went through the roof probably within 2 weeks, along with the diet that I was doing before I came in the first time.
We also put her on a yeast-free eating program as well, which is part of the regimen.
Yeah, because one of the things you focus on also is allergies. Right.
Well, we focus on allergy, and we focus on yeast, too, because individuals that at some time in their life, if they've ever taken antibiotics, and most Americans have taken a lot of antibiotics, that can cause some yeast overgrowth, not only female problems women have vaginally, but in the gut.
Yeah.
And so that can cause a host of gut
Different
problems.
Food reactions and things. And so, and you are a whole new person now.
I'm a whole new person.
And what?
I'm a whole new person. With some trial and error.
Yeah.
What really, she had mentioned to me, she did well for 2.5 years, got off her eating program, kind of slopped around for a couple.
I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
Right?
And so she's gone back on a very strict yeast-free eating program over the last year, which has made a big difference. And this goes back to what Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said: let food be your medicine, let medicine be your food. So what we consume has a lot to do with the way our health overall.
Yeah, well, if it's going to be your nourishment, you're right. It has to be nutrient-dense, good food, and certain bodies can put up with certain things, but others are more sensitive to certain things, and you see it show up in this way, but you have to go to the right doctor to be able to diagnose that. And so, Dr. Hotze, we mentioned that, you know, it happens with a lot of women in their 30s. Also happens after women have babies or certain moments like menopause.
Right, and let me make this point. Women have hypothyroid problems 6 times as commonly as men do. 6 times, and that has to do with the imbalance that occurs in female hormones as women march through their menstrual life. The hormones become imbalanced as they approach the change of life, and that adversely affects their body's ability to utilize thyroid hormones. So women commonly come in with these complaints, but unfortunately most physicians are unaware that they can treat patients based upon their clinical symptoms, and they want to go on a blood test, and they don't treat the patient, they treat the blood test, and then tell the patient basically, it's all in your head, or you're
or treat the symptoms. I've said 100 times, you know, for I was depressed, they wanted to give me you know, antidepressants. I had no energy, wanted to give me Adderall, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to have to bring you down off that Adderall so you can go to sleep, because I couldn't go to sleep at night. So all these things, again, that would damage my liver, and I'm so thankful to God that I knew enough to say, you can't just medicate my symptoms. We have to take care of the problem.
Underlying cause, which in your case was?
Thyroid, hypothyroid, extreme hypothyroid, and then within 2 weeks, just like you, after I took it, I was like, I'm back. All right. I'm crazy as ever, but I'm back. Right. But let's back up a little bit and explain what does thyroid and estrogen, progesterone, other hormones, what do they do in our bodies? Well,
the thyroid hormone governs our body's metabolism, our ability to produce energy and use energy. We've got to have energy to function. And 20% of the energy is needed by the brain, so when your energy level goes down, if you don't get enough thyroid in your cells, then your metabolic rate goes down, your energy goes down, and you kind of slug around, you're fatigued, you can't think clearly, you get depressed, you get joint and muscle aches and pains. You may gain weight. That's a common feature, although it's not always. Sometimes I've seen women who are thin that are low thyroid.
I didn't have that
paradoxically.
I didn't get
routinely.
That
but so the thyroid governs our metabolism, and when the female hormones estrogen and progesterone get out of balance, estrogen hormones, when they're imbalanced, if there's too much estrogen hormones, which happens as women march through their menstrual life, that adversely affects their ability to use thyroid hormone, because the body produces a protein that binds to the thyroid hormone.
It's a whole domino effect. All right, Dr. Hotze brought a copy of his New Hormones, Health and Happiness audio book for everyone in our audience. It's great. It explains all that stuff. For those of you at home, you can order your copy from physicianspreference.com, physicianspreference.com. Shipping is free. Dr. Hotze also hosts a radio show, Health and Wellness Solutions. Catch it every day, Monday through Thursday, from noon to 1 p.m. on 700 AM KSEV. And to make an appointment with the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, call 281-698-8698, 281-698-8698, or log on to hotzehwc.com, because if you want to feel better, get the problem fixed. Well, 'tis the season for giving, but we know a lot of you